It's called the biggest night in entertainment. All of Hollywood is gathered at the iconic Dolby Theatre in Los Angeles, where the 90th Annual Academy Awards have just commenced. And now I'm joined in the studio by my colleagues Sejal Pandey and Sai Sethu, and bringing us more live update on the Oscars. I am also joined in by our correspondent Mary McCarthy, who will be giving us a live update from the Oscars red carpet in Los Angeles. And let me quickly kick off the show and go across to Mary. Mary, you're fortunate enough to be covering the landmark 90th Academy Awards. What is the feel like this year? How are the Oscars different since it is the landmark?
It is indeed a very different year than we've seen before. The red carpet is now shut down because the ceremony has in fact started, and the first big award has been given. That's Best Supporting Actor, which went to the actor who was predicted, Sam Rockwell. That's for his performance in Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. It was a role that was actually quite controversial. There was no doubt about the acting quality, this stunning portrayal of sort of a small town policeman in middle America, somebody who has trouble with anger, with alcohol. But he's also someone who's quite racist, and the end of the film sees some redemption, a change in his character. And some Americans are saying, you know, that's not good enough. For a character like this, we need something different. But like lots of Oscars roles, it's something that's controversial. The Academy does like that. And largely among critics and among other people, there was a consensus that Sam Rockwell's performance was absolutely stunning. He beat other top actors for that. And when the ceremony started just a few moments before that, it was really diving straight into those many controversies that are happening here in Hollywood right now. The comedian, the TV host who is hosting tonight, Jimmy Kimmel, talking about the hashtag Time's Up and hashtag Me Too movements, the call for an end to all sorts of discrimination, particularly discrimination against women in Hollywood. So it's the start of a night that's certain to see lots of interesting choices, and also certainly lots of talk and speeches about that more political side of things.
Right. Mary, it's been, speaking of women, it's been the year of women in Hollywood. Many have successfully been able to overthrow powerful sexual abusers. Rachel Morrison has created history by becoming the first ever female nominee in the cinematography category. Yet, women remain outnumbered from the nominations. Don't you think the Academy is still, at the core of it, a very male affair?
Indeed, the Academy is rigid, is stilted. It's over history, regardless of the categories, both the big roles on screen and off. Most top awards, most recognition certainly went to white males. In the past few years, we'd seen the protest of the Oscars. Oscars so white, saying we need more actors of diversity, actresses of diversity, both Asian Americans, Black Americans, and now finally saying we also need to shed the light more on women's roles. As you said there, the first time in history a woman has been nominated for the Best Cinematography category. That's Rachel Morrison for her stunning work in the historical drama Mudbound. Also Greta Gerwig making history as only the 5th woman in history to be nominated for Best Director. That's for Lady Bird. So all eyes will be on those categories to see if the women get the top prizes. If the Academy is serious about making change, about catching on to this new zeitgeist in Hollywood, then they will indeed choose those women. Any way you look at it, all the top nominees, incredible films, incredible things to check out.
Right. Mary, here my colleague Sejal Pandey has a question to throw over to you. Let me now cut across to Sejal for the question. Sejal, please take on.
Mary, like you mentioned, the first award of the night has been announced. Sam Rockwell, in line with the SAG Awards, his BAFTA win, his Golden Globe win, he's won the Academy Award. And we've known from the previous years that the films that win at the BAFTAs, the Golden Globes, and indeed the Spirit Awards that happened just last night, they kind of lead up to the Best Picture winner every year. But this year, the race is so wide open. We have, as of now, we have about about three clear, nominees that could win. Get Out could win. Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri could win. Shape of Water has been so far a Guild favorite. Guillermo del Toro has, swept away the Producers Guild, the Writers Guild, the SAG Awards, and he's swept away the Producers Guild as well. The film has 13 nominations this year. What do you feel? What is the mood like? What is the talk within the industry this evening? Which picture looks most likely to win?
It is very different than other years where there were generally one or two clear front runners, whereas this year it really is all over the place. And I would say that just lends an extra element of excitement. As we said, the hype, the buzz on the red carpet this year wasn't frankly about any of the films. It really was about the politics, about Me Too, Time's Up, and also hashtag Never Again, calling for gun control. So that's the real focus tonight. But of course, there is speculation about who will win. I have it narrowed down to two possibilities. Either Get Out, the horror film directed by Jordan Peele. I just have a feeling that it's such an important movie, taking on race in America in a very creative way. And Jordan Peele, a young director, that would show that the Academy really is headed in a new direction. It's somewhere between that and Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, which in its own way is a very powerful film, a story about a grieving mother, a tour de force performance by Frances McDormand, who is the favorite for Best Actress, and really in line with the theme of the night, where Frances McDormand is an incredibly powerful personality who has won, again, an Oscar in the past, but also playing a role of a woman where you don't know whether she's the hero or the villain or both, really throughout the entire film, showing that Hollywood can offer complex, powerful roles for women to older actresses. Frances McDormand is going on 60, and again, that choice too would show that maybe the old days of Hollywood are over, and the blockbusters or the traditional male-led films are no longer the Oscar fare moving forward.
Right. Mary, we just spoke extensively about, how the Oscars is also taking the whole agenda for women forward, especially addressing sexual harassment. What I'd like to ask you, you also mentioned that gun control is featuring as one of the major themes tonight. What is it about gun control that, Hollywood is taking forward tonight at the 90th Academy Awards?
Well, I think that since the terrible school shooting in Florida a couple of weeks ago, that gun control has resurfaced as something that people are really fighting for, led by high school students. And Hollywood has certainly latched onto that. Anytime that Hollywood stars lend their support to any cause, it can bring it to an entirely new level. We know that Hollywood stars like George Clooney and his wife have donated funds to the movement led by students for gun control. On the red carpet, we did see some stars wearing orange American flag pins, orange being the sign or the symbol, the color now of the fight for gun control. And they're really sort of rolling all these movements together. Again, the host, Jimmy Kimmel, he said, in one sentence, he referred to Me Too, Time's Up, and Never Again. This notion that even if we have a very conservative president administration in power, who he took several digs at, both President Trump and Vice President Pence, that there is another America out there, the more liberal, left-leaning America, which, as nothing's new, that's often led by voices from Hollywood.
Mary, until last evening, in fact, earlier, a couple of days ago, when Jimmy Kimmel had just started talking about how he's really excited about presenting the Academy Awards for the second time, he also came out to say that time's up. Me Too, Harvey Weinstein, all of these are not going to be the focus of the show. It's still going to be the movies, what the Oscars is about, but you can't really keep all of these pressing social issues away from ceremonies that are watched over by the world. In fact, this is in fact the first ceremony where Harvey Weinstein's name has been taken as such. We saw a number of protests so far during the SAG Awards, during the Golden Globes, during the BAFTAs. Everyone was dressed in black. In fact, even the music music industry took on with White Roses in support of, against sexual harassment. But this is the first time Harvey Weinstein's name has been taken up there. There are also, we've read reports about how actors are wearing orange pins to, protest gun violence. So do you think that all of these pressing social issues in this, this political climate that's really volatile right now is sort of overpowering the movies and the general party feel of the Oscars?
Oh, I think it's absolutely fascinating speaking to lots of people on the red carpet, whether it's media who've been here for years or more Hollywood insiders. There's a feeling that there really is a sea change happening. It's not just a hashtag. It's not just one scandal, the Weinstein scandal, and then maybe some other men who'd been outed for their bad behavior. Things have changed. Hollywood is helping to lead that. The initial inspiration came from women in Silicon Valley, but Hollywood has really, thanks to the power of social media, gotten this message out that in the workplace, things are changing for women, and that the notion, certainly in Hollywood, of the casting couch, that women, especially young women, would be coming in, trying to make their way in Hollywood, that they'd have to put up with all sorts of abuse, all sorts of discrimination, that finally they can complain about that, they can talk about it. So, and, I would say that among the women I spoke to, that it's really a sense of liberation. It's not, it truly is a moment. For the men, on the other hand, there is maybe some hesitation. One of the major TV hosts here in the United States, Ryan Seacrest, who's on the red carpet, there was an awful lot of tension because some of the stars wouldn't speak to him because he's facing his own cases of sexual harassment. One of the actors who normally would present a prize, because usually the person who won it the previous year would come and present it this year. So in Best Actor, that would be Casey Affleck. He is not here because he's facing ongoing cases of sexual harassment. So he kindly declined to show up. So for women, it's a moment of empowerment. But for men, for some of the men, certainly, it's a moment of thinking, perhaps of staying out of the spotlight entirely.
Right. Mary, I'm very glad that, Hollywood is trying to, influence the society like this, and by making such strong political statements. And while we speak, there is news trickling in from the award ceremony that Phantom Thread has won the best costume design, and The Darkest Hour has won the best makeup and hairstyling, while Icarus has won the best documentary feature. Your take on any of these films for these awards that have been just announced?
No big surprises there. Again, generally here, all eyes are on the bigger categories, and I'd say beyond the big categories, what we're all waiting for is the one that you mentioned earlier, is the best cinematography, which, if it goes to Rachel Morrison as the first woman ever nominated in that category, is going to be one of the biggest stories of the night.